Hi, Anshu Sharma here. Welcome to this channel and also my love to all of you. Today's topic is becoming free from past relationships and being aware of the mind patterns. In current times of splitting timelines, it is time to say final goodbye and letting people go and moving on. You can let some people go easily, but depending on how emotionally you were attached and how subtle and strong the bond is still there, it is difficult. Images of few people linger deeply in your psyche, long after they are gone. It feels like a phantom limb, which is no longer there. Some people have given a lot of time, interest, love, and energy to their failed or sour relationships. And now it is over. Some of you still feel the hurt and pain, and you suppress and not deal with your emotions. You try to busy yourself in physical activities and pretend to move on. For some of you, you have dealt with your situation and you have transformed energies. But still others, though the hurt and pain is still there, they have moved on and they are happy now in their current relationship. People deal with failed relationships in different ways. The point is, if you still feel the pain, hurt or suffering, you are looking for some sort of a closure. Oblivious to what you are looking, you are unconsciously looking for a pattern that is driving people away from you, or the mind pattern which is causing disposition of failed relationships in your reality. You have applied logic. Your partner or child has left you. In the beginning stages, you apply logic. They left you, but you are still disappointed. You try to find an answer why you are still disappointed. You apply various logical statements in order to bring some sort of relief, understanding, and closing to your mind's cravings. With logic, you can see it is your expectations that led to your disappointment and unhappiness. When you sit in meditation, mind brings in your anger, jealousy, pain and sorrow. Though your intellect brings in all sorts of logical statements in order to bring peace and closure initially. And in time, if the pain of separation is still too immense, all arguments fail. And you still, in spite of all statements, all logic and all our intellectual arguments, you still feel the pain in its raw form. When you have done all logical thinking, you have done and brought all logical and different scenarios in your mind. You have dealt with your expectations or unable to accept how the situation is. Though you feel disappointed, but this is a very high state in your meditation. Because now you are able to feel the raw emotion without its coloring. You have dealt with all the colorings. You get to this stage when you are in perfect balance of head and heart. If you are too orientated, you will dismiss as being over emotional. And if you are too emotional, you will color your emotions and dismiss intellectual inquiry as being dry. So, congratulate yourself that you have done all searching, you have done finding all the arguments, you have done finding all the different colorings of your mind. And you have arrived in this high state of meditation where now you are in perfect balance of head and heart. And you are able to feel your raw emotion as it is, without blaming or labeling anyone. You realize the pain is still there. This is a high state in meditation which leads you to the next stage of pure attention and inquiry. With pure attention and a spirit of inquiry, you sense and feel this emotion sorrow within. All arguments and logic have failed. And you realize the pain and sorrow is still there. Relationship is long gone. Within, you experience a split. In this state of observation, with pure attention, you realize that there is someone who is observing the sorrow and someone who is experiencing the sorrow. And also you realize the presence of third entity who is watching the two. One who is observing and the one who is experiencing the sorrow and the one who is observing both of them. This is pure attention. When you are able to give pure attention without any coloring or being swept away by a thought or an emotion, you have practiced meditation. You have practiced meditation for a long time. In solitude, you have practiced transformation, contemplation, and concentration with one pointed mind. Your mind is absolutely calm and quiet. At this stage, your mind is both passive and active. In the quietness and stillness of your mind, you are watching, observing with pure attention passively, without any involvement. But you are still active because you are not sleeping. You are vigilant, you are alert, and you are active. You have pulled away from all your pain and sorrow with a feeling, I am observing my sorrow. When you are in such a state, you are not in pain. You are in the state of pure attention and observation. You have separated and pulled away from the pain and sorrow. No emotion remains in such a state of pure observation. Rather, you experience a feeling of being free and relieved. In that state of being free and relieved, you wish to discover the reason of the sorrow which is still there in its raw form. Though the pain or sorrow is still there, You are in a state of bliss because you are not in pain anymore. You have come to that neutral position where you are not taking the ownership of the pain. Your mind has become one-pointed and it is not dissipated. It is this time you have tremendous mind energy. It is like sun rays can burn a paper when focused through a lens. More and more of your mind is available to you, more you practice such a state. This state increases your awareness. Your mental disturbances diminish and ultimately drown. You can, in your consciousness, can go only this far, where you are in a state of observation, pure awareness, where you realize that there is someone who is watching the pain and there is a part of you who is experiencing the pain, and there is another part of you who is watching the two. You cannot go any far because at this stage you are still in ego consciousness. You are bringing the ownership of your pain. You are watching and you are suffering. Though this state is high, but you can only go so far. After this stage, only surrender helps you. Individuality remains when you say, I am, or who is observing, or I am, or who is experiencing this pain. You are still in ego. This ego has to be dropped if you wish to proceed any further. You surrender. In surrender, you ask for divine assistance and obtain it as a grace. Meditation is a gradual process where you train your mind coming to its center. Coming to its center again and again. Coming to its state of pure attention without any coloring. And where you simply inquire, you do not get swept away in that particular thought or emotion. A lot of practice gets you here. Where your mind is perfectly still and with pure attention, along with surrender, you inquire. Mind patterns and imprints can be described as latent tendencies, predispositions, or psychological conditioning. This is what you are aiming to discover. Only a very calm, still, vigilant, and one-pointed mind can become aware of its own mind patterns and free himself forever. In this state, all concepts related to I, such as I am observing or I am experiencing, are dropped. You arrive at this stage because you have surrendered and recognized universal intelligence. An intelligence that is all-pervading and conscious. This intelligence pervades everywhere, including you and your mind. This intelligence, universal intelligence, does not require or need your permission or your ownership. It happens. This intelligence is ever existing and happens with or without your permission or without your participation. To get to this stage of surrender, you have come to a point where you have deeply understood. This is where you drop your ego. In light of that universal intelligence, you realize that my ownership, my participation is not needed. Things are happening on their own. There is a clear observation and awareness, but without an observer. This state you may call bliss or God consciousness, where awareness is happening. Pure experiencing is happening. In this state, it is easier to observe mind imprints and patterns. And you can also differentiate between memory and mind patterns. What is a memory? With memory, you can remember your past experiences, learned facts, skills and habits. Memory is something you can see. Memory is nothing but a collection of thoughts. Now, what are mind patterns and what's the difference between the two? Mind patterns are subtle energy patterns made from your latent tendencies, predispositions, or psychological conditioning. Samskaras is the right Sanskrit word to describe them. There is no other word describes them in such accuracy as this word samskaras. Samskaras remain in the soul even after death. And these are samskaras, the mind pattern, the predispositions or tendencies in the next reincarnation collect the elements and situations again for them to experience or to play out. Same thing, but in a different condition with different people. It is samskaras that are very hard to pick up because it is the thing that is the one which is thinking. It is a thing that registers memory in its first place. Samskaras have intelligence of their own. We are not thinking. The mind patterns are driving us. Mind patterns are predisposing us to a particular situation or to an experience. For a seasoned meditator, samskaras are a bigger problem. Let us explain samskaras with an example. A child whose mother has left early in his childhood may develop a pattern that says, she always leaves me. Such a person would experience abandonment in his relationships again and again. That samskara, the mind pattern, she leaves me, is driving all his experiences, rather collecting all his experiences, involving him in that experiencing, finally to experience abandonment. Because of the dictation of that mind pattern that says she leaves me. Such mind patterns are very strong. and it is impossible to alter them unless impossible to alter them unless you are in a state of high alert, vigilance. Your mind is both passive and active at the same time. And unless you alter these mind patterns, there is no yoga. Yoga, as you know, is a perfect union, perfect experience of that oneness. Because of these mind patterns which are driving your experiences, there is a split happening in your mind. A separation or a split does not mean unity. Even to recognize their existence is a big step. Only way to spot their workings is through eternal vigilance. A vigilance which is constant. This eternal vigilance is performed in solitude, where you sort of looking at yourself constantly. All experiences, whether they are called pain or pleasure, are put together under the microscope. You are discovering why you are predisposed to certain experiences you call pain and you call pleasure. All questions regarding why it is happening. Why do I behave in such a particular manner again and again? How is this particular experience related to my other experiences? What is the common factor? What is the thing which is predisposing me to this conduct? A strong will, a desire to get to the bottom of your suffering is sought. If not, mind patterns stay with your life after life, conjuring similar circumstances and inviting repeated hurts and pains. Only situations and people involved are changed. Let us understand with an example. Your partner or anyone else you loved has left you. The leaving, whether it was with or without your consent, is immaterial. If the person was dead, it would have provided with some sort of a closure to you, and that is temporary. But right now the person is very much alive and has moved on with his or her life. In any case, you are still grieving. You are carrying the hurt and the pain and the sorrow. From time to time, hurt and pain surfaces. There are many ways you can come to a closure. But right now we are discovering mind patterns. So we will keep focusing on mind patterns. Understanding that we have gone through all the meditation and we have dropped all the colorings. We have gone through everything, but we are now still feeling the raw emotion. The intellect has produced many logical reasons, but the images of that person still keeps coming before you. All the experiences, whether good or bad, related to that person keep coming before you. In such a state, in meditation, you observe the sorrow alone, minus any experiences or any coloring. Telling yourself, ready to discover and face mind pattern that drove this experience and retain the memory in the first place. You have had so many different experiences and they're all gone into your memory, but why this particular memory keeps coming again and again? So there is a pattern which is driving and bringing this memory again and again. You have also surrendered and you have asked for divine grace and guidance. If you stay with your meditation and your inquiry with a still mind, in the stillness of your mind, through paying attention, mind pattern driving the sorrow will emerge. Now suppose this pattern is, the pattern in this case has emerged. Oh, I wish to have people at my beck and call always. These statements come in your conscious awareness. Suddenly, a light will be thrown on all your conflicts and disagreements with everyone you have experienced so far in this life. You would realize that you are attached to this concept, that I wish to have people at my beck and call. Behind this statement, behind the concept, lies your will to control. With this statement, which is a mind pattern driving your all experiences, you will never experience pure love, honoring people and respecting people. What you are constantly looking is to control and manipulate people and keeping them under your control. When you say, I wish to have people at my beck and call, your attachment to control is an issue. You realize not the person. And this is where you have to withdraw your energies from. Respecting people, choices, honoring them, and not allowing them will relieve you. Allowing is also a subtle control. Who are we to allow people? When we truly respect and honor people, we just honor and respect them with all their wishes, even if their wish is to move away from us. And this is what you practice in action. When you practice in action, you will change that original mind pattern which is driving you. At one stage, that old pattern will contradict with the new pattern you have emerged, which is respecting and honoring people. And you also dissolve that pattern, understanding it is nothing but a collection of thought where I have attached my consciousness to. It would have happened sometime in the past because of certain experiences I underwent, but right now it is time to let go of this pattern and dissolving it forever, so that in future it does not drive my experiences. Instead of control, now I wish to experience love, intimacy, and respecting people and their choices. This is how you discover mind patterns driving your experiences and relieving yourself from the emotional experiences. This is freedom. This is the freedom you enjoy in consciousness while you are living, not in your death. Death carries samskaras from one life to another. Thanks for listening. Please leave your comments. I hope you are enjoying these talks, triggering your awareness. Till we meet again, Lots of love and light to you.